Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and the bell notification icon.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and the bell notification icon.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lenny. If you've ever wanted to clone your voice using AI, just like I clone my voice, or just like the voice you heard in the beginning of this video, and you want to do this for free, then in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I built a powerful, incredible voice cloning agent using n8n and ElevenLabs. There's no complicated coding involved, just smart automation with free API access. So whether you're a content creator, you're a podcaster, you're a voiceover artist, or you're a YouTuber, you'd learn how to replicate your voice, you'd learn how to design a new voice and automate your workflow like a pro. Let's get started. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to walk you through the flow I have here. It's a very simple flow. After the walkthrough, I'm going to show you step by step how this flow was developed. So the first part of the flow really is a trigger, and I'm using a Google Drive as trigger because that's where I'm going to be housing all the audio files I have. And then the next part in this flow is really where I download the file, and then the last part of it is where I upload it to ElevenLabs to do the voice cloning or to design the voice for me. Let's get started into the tutorial. In terms of the things you need access to Google Drive. So if you don't have a Google Drive account, but you can create one. And then once you create a Google Drive account, make sure that you generate some API keys, or you need to go into your Google Cloud Console to generate some API keys. And always make sure that you have access to your Google Drive so that your API keys can access your Google Drive. The next thing you need is n8n. So if you don't have like an n8n account, then you can use the cloud version. They do have like a 14-day free trial, or you can self-host it, which is what I'm doing, and it's free forever. And then the other thing you need is also ElevenLabs. So if you don't have an ElevenLabs account, there's a free version. I'm going to leave the link in the description box below so that you can check it out. Again, when you come into ElevenLabs, just make sure that you are creating an API key. So you need to generate some API key because you need the API key to communicate between the two, the various systems. So let's come back into n8n. Okay, so first things first, for every n8n automation or for any workflow you want to build, you first need to have like a trigger, which is really the first step. And for triggers, you could really do them manually, or you can use an app event, or you can schedule, or you can use a form, or you can use a chat message. It really depends on how you want to call your agent. But what I want to use is an app event, and for app event I'm going to be using Google Drive. And the reason why I'm using Google Drive is just because I have a folder I've created called Voices, and this folder is where I'm going to be housing all my audio files. So I do have a sample audio file I got from the internet, and I have it uploaded in here. So when I come into add first step, I'm going to click on this button, and then I'm going to save that on changes involving a specific folder. Depending on how you want this to be treated, you can decide whether you want it to be changes to a specific file. So maybe if you change a new marker file, then you want it to kick off the automation. But for this one, I'm going to use like on changes involving a specific folder. So I'm going to click on this. And then, like I mentioned, you need to have like a Google Drive account. So you need to have your Google Drive account, and you need to have your API key set up. So if you've created your API key, you would have a client ID and a client statute, and for that you can enter them in here. I already do have this set up, so I'm gonna use what I already have set up. In terms of call times, you can decide if you want it to be every minute, every hour, every bit. It really depends on how often you want trigger to run. Okay. And then trigger on changes to involving specific folder. This is what we choose. And you're on. And then you come in here and select the exact folder you're talking about. So for instance, I'm using the voices folder because that is where I have all my voices housed. And then in terms of watch folks, I'm gonna say file updated. Okay, so that means that if I make any changes to the file, then really start this whole automation. Okay, and then you could also make it as file created. That means if you upload any file in here, it should trigger enter automation. From there, just keep it as file updated, and I'm not going to add any options in here. You could add that, like, okay, specifically you just want audio files, or you want Google Docs or drawings. You can really be specific, and maybe sometimes you may have a folder that would have like audios, that would have files, and so you just want to be specific in the folder. For the purposes of this tutorial. I'm just not gonna add any options, and I'm gonna test this. As you can see, the file we uploaded into Google Drive is showing up here, so that's fine. Now the next step is to download the file. Okay, in order for, just think about it, if we are using ElevenLabs, you first be to also upload it into ElevenLabs, right? Since we don't have access to the file yet because it's in Google Drive, we just want to first download it. And in order to download the file, you're going to use Google Drive again. Okay, so you're going to come into Action and App, and then you're going to select Drive again, but in this time around we're going to say download file. Okay, and the reason why we are downloading the file, again, as I mentioned, is that we need it to also be in the binary format for n8n to be able to process it in ElevenLabs. So again, when you come into the Google Drive app here, you're going to use your credentials. I'm assuming that at this point in time you already have your Google Drive credentials. In terms of resource, I'm going to keep it as file because it's just a file I want to download. In terms of operations, I'm going to keep it as download, and then I'm going to say by ID. I mean, you can do by list and be specific and select the file, but then I'm going to use by ID just because I have access to the ID here. And the reason why I'm also using by ID is that it also makes it easier and a lot more dynamic, meaning that I can just keep like changing the files in my folder and it will just pick the ID for me. So I'm going to come into my schema here, and I'm going to scroll down to the ID of the exact file, okay, which is this one. Just under this this particular one here. Okay, so that is the ID of the file, and I'm not going to add in any properties. And then you can decide to put a name, like force a name to the file, but I'm not going to do that. And then I'm going to just test the step. Okay, so as you can see, my file has been downloaded. The way you see that it's been downloaded or it's been created is because now there'll be like an output binary file here. So this is the file, and it automatically means the file beta. So we're going to keep it that because we didn't rename the file. And you can, at this point, you can view the file or you can download the file in here. But we don't want to do that now. Now, the next step is where we connect this to ElevenLabs, okay? And you know that for us to connect this to ElevenLabs, we are going to use an HTTP request. So I'm going to click on this plus button, and then I'm going to search on the HTTP request. Like I mentioned earlier on, you need to have access to ElevenLabs. You need to have access to the API keys that ElevenLabs will give to you, okay? So instead of a get, I'm going to use a post. And the reason why I'm doing this is that if you go into ElevenLabs, so let's go into the ElevenLabs API reference documentation. Okay, so we're going, so this is the ElevenLabs API documentation, and we just really want to change voice, right? This is what we are trying to do. So I'm going to select on voice changer. If I come into voice changer, as you can see, this is a code that is required from ElevenLabs. It shows you exactly the code you need for ElevenLabs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this instead of having to process this manually. I'm going to click on import code, and then I'm going to paste what I have in here. So import, and as you can see, it's asking for some information. Okay, it's asking for some information. If you read through the API documentation, it will tell you exactly what it's requesting for. So for instance, voice ID is asking for the ID of the voice to be used. And if I come in here, for instance, it's also asking for voice ID as well, right? So for this particular example, it's defaulting to this particular voice ID. But if you wanted to get the ID of the voices we want, you could basically do so by going through the ElevenLabs interface, and then you can really select a voice you want, and then you can just copy the voice ID. So this is where you get your voice ID. So if you wanted to change the voice ID from the defaults they have, Q8 something else, then you can merely copy the voice ID from that. So for instance, I want to use Metro Conversations from Mac, then I would copy the voice ID here, and then I'll come into n8n, and then I'll just change the parts that mentions the voice ID. So this is the voice ID. So I'm going to change it so that it gives me a different voice ID. Okay, so that's great. That's fine. It's telling us that the output format is going to be in this, which is fine. And then it's asking for an API key. So this is where we go into ElevenLabs again, and then we copy our API key. So we go back into ElevenLabs, and then if you come into your ElevenMaps portal, you can simply come in here, click on API keys, and then copy your API keys, okay? If you don't have one, you can simply create an API keys and you click on create and it gives you an API key which you can use. Just gonna delete this one because I already have API keys. I'm just gonna put this in here. In terms of form beta, you can always come in here and then you put your this was defaulted for us, which is fine. It's asking us for the binary file we generated n8n and we called that file beta. So as you can see, the file was called data. If I click on binary here, you see that the file is called data. So we put beta in here. And then yeah, there's also other parameters you can pass. So for instance, if you scroll down here, there are parameters you can pass. So you can really even be specific about the settings of the voice, which is exactly what you would have in your portal. So if I come into voice changer, for instance, and I choose when I can change the settings in here. So you can do the same thing as well in your flow. And I'm not gonna do that. And there's also the option to remove the background noise, which defaults to false. So if I want to remove the background noise, since it's defaulting to false, I'm just basically gonna come in here and I'm just gonna add a parameter, and the parameter will be say remove background noise, and instead of defaulting into false, I'm gonna say true. I'm gonna say true. Let's see if there are other parameters I want to pass. No, I don't really want to pass any other parameters. The only thing that I just want to do is, in terms of the auctions, I just want to force that the response would be a file, because I want a file back. So let's try it and see. Okay, let me first, before I test this entire step, I just want to first play the audio for you so that you have an idea of what a sound looks like. I'm gonna click on view.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and the bell notification icon.
Okay, so this is how the original voice sounds. Now, I'm gonna test this entire flow now, and you'd see how the voice has changed just by passing it through ElevenLabs. I'm gonna come back and then I'm gonna test the entire workflow. Okay, so our workflow has been successfully executed. I'm gonna take on this mouse, and as you can see, the file has been created. Now, if I should play the output sound, this is how it will sound like.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and the bell notification icon.
Okay, so as you can see, the output has been generated for us. The voice has changed for us, and yeah, so that is how you can clone your voice. That is how you can design an entirely new voice using your existing voice, using an AI. If you have like a faceless YouTube channel, then really all you have to do is you just have to upload a file into your Google Drive, and then your n8n AI agent, and you're good to go. But yeah, that is it for today's video. If you haven't watched my previous video where I automated my entire content pipeline for YouTube using like YouTube AI agent in n8n, then I would encourage you to watch that as well. I'm gonna leave that on the screen so that you can watch that as well. But for now, that is all for today's video, and I thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all of the stuff. See you in the next one.